Good morning students, welcome back. Now we are going to start with the next topic, that is the axis of the earth and the hemisphere. First I will tell you what is the axis. Globe can be turned around a line passing through it, which is called the axis. The axis of rotation of the globe is similar to that of the earth. The axis is not a straight. The two end point of the axis of rotation is called the poles. Now I will tell you what is the poles. The pole of the earth are the 2 points where the axis meet the earth's surface. They are the North Pole and the South Pole. The point at the top of the globe is called the North Pole. The point at the bottom of the globe is called the South Pole. Now look at the globe. The line running from one pole to the other through the center of the globe is called the axis of the earth. It is only an imaginary line, but it is very important line to understand the movement of the earth. The earth rotates on its imaginary line. That is why we say that the earth rotates on its axis. Student, this is your North Pole and this is your South Pole, and this line from North Pole to South Pole, it is an imaginary line and it is we call the axis of the earth. There is another imaginary line on earth. It goes around the earth. It remains at equal distance from the North Pole and the South Pole. It is called the equator. It divides the earth into two equal halves. That is why we call it the equator. Student, this is the line from here to 0 degree. From this is 0 degree equator. This is your equator, and the imaginary line circling around the earth, dividing it into two equal halves, is known as the equator. The half of the north of the equator is called the northern hemisphere. The other half of south of the equator is called the southern hemisphere. Most of the northern hemisphere is land and most of the southern hemisphere is water. So the northern hemisphere is called the land hemisphere and the southern hemisphere is called the water hemisphere. You can see from 0 degree equator to North Pole is your northern hemisphere. We call it a land hemisphere also. And from 0 degree equator to South Pole is your water hemisphere or southern hemisphere. Students, let us have a clips to understand more about the axis of the earth, equator and the hemisphere.
Be turned around a line passing through it. This line is called the axis. Axis is not straight. It is tilted at an angle of 23.5. The earth constantly rotates or turns around its axis of rotation. The axis of rotation of the globe is similar to that of the earth. Poles. The two end points of the axis of rotation are called the poles. To the north is the North Pole and to the south is the South Pole. Hemispheres. Equator midway between the poles is an imaginary line circling the earth. Is called the equator. Equator divides the earth into two equal halves called the hemispheres. To the north of the equator is the northern hemisphere, and to the south of the equator is the southern hemisphere.
So student, with the help of this clip, we easily understand about the axis of the earth, poles, hemisphere and equator. So that's it for today.